word of mouth is the best form of marketing that there is. It's about building the brand, it's about building a story, it's about building a reputation. If you're going to do something, it has to be different. Sometimes you need to stop, rethink and restructure.
For you, you never had money. What's that story? Assalamu alaikum viewers and listeners. Welcome back to another episode of Side by Side. I'm your host Kazi, Shafiqur, Rahman. Our guest today is Mario Allepo, the founder of Fireaway Pizza.
I think it's good to have everything open instead of hidden at the back where people can't see what's going on.
What's your success principle as it stands?
The fact of the matter is you can't keep everybody happy no matter what business you have. It's not possible to run a 100% smooth operation. You realize that the money side of things is not as important as you thought. As long as you put in the effort and time, I think anyone can do it.
I want to take it to the franchise market. What do I do?
I think there's certain things that you should do before you even look at franchising.
150, like in what, 7 years did you just say?
But the first year in general we made.
Now, before we get into our discussion today, ladies and gentlemen, supporters and well-wishers, please do consider subscribing to our channel on the platform you are tuned into, and also engage with us on our social media platforms. Without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Mario Allepo. Welcome to Side by Side.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in. You just came back from holiday, you said.
Yeah.
How was your holiday?
It was good. It was a nice break.
After how long was that break?
Maybe about 2 months.
2 months?
Yeah.
So you take you take regular breaks, yeah?
Yeah, sometimes.
Nice. And did you switch off?
Yeah, to an extent, not fully. I don't think you can ever fully switch off. But yeah, it was a step back.
Nice. Now you're back. You're looking forward to getting back. And
Yeah, straight back to it, yeah.
How do you switch off? When I go to Bangladesh, it's I switch off because we live in village.
Yeah.
Did you manage to like I mean, for me, when I switch off, it's hard to come back in. That's my problem.
I think it takes a few days to switch off and a few days to get back to normal, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think you have to take breaks every now and then.
Was it hard for you to pull yourself out of that out of your busy life and get into the break mode?
Now it's a bit easier because we have we've extended the team, so there is quite a few people who can take care of things. So now it's a bit easier to take a step back.
Amazing. Mario Allepo. Where does that name come from? What's the story?
Italy. Half
Italy.
Italian, yeah. Half Italian, half English.
And Aleppo is a city in Syria as well.
Yeah, I don't know why, but that was my grandfather's name in Italy. So, yeah.
Wow, did you find, did anyone say anything like, because of your surname or anything like
Yeah. Obviously,
being Aleppo?
Yeah, it's quite a big city in Syria. I'm not too sure, but it's not really an Italian name, so it's a bit of a strange one, but that was his name. So
amazing. So you're Italian. And so I'm going to go straight into it because you're quite a prominent figure. People know you on YouTube and across various social channels. I want to learn from you today because I feel like this is going to be a good session to learn from. I want to first find out, you had a coffee shop.
Yeah.
And it folded. What happened?
I think at the time I was very young and inexperienced, and maybe my heart wasn't fully in it, like 100% in it. So I gave it a go, and within about 6 months it failed, but it was a good learning experience. But yeah, it didn't last more than 6 months.
So how much did you invest in that coffee shop?
Not a lot, maybe £5,000. Yeah, it was a really small, you're talking like 10 years ago as well, but it was a really small coffee shop, half the size of this room. And yeah, the rent was about £200 a week. So it was very, very small operation.
So what was your key takeaway from that experience? What did you learn? Because I once almost set up a coffee shop as well. In fact, I wanted to buy into it.
What did I take away from that? Probably just the very, very, very basic things of opening a business bank account, ordering products, till system, staff, accounts, like the very, very, thank you, the very basics of having a business.
And in terms of like, if you were to imagine, you're no longer doing, say, Fireaway Pizza, which we will come to in a bit. And if you were to go revisit and resume a coffee shop business, what would you do differently?
I think you'd have to add something to it. I don't think it could be just coffee. I think it's a saturated market. There's too many coffee shops out there. I think you'd have to pair it with something else, like a new product.
Like what?
Some sort of desserts or some sort of sandwiches or some sort of like on-the-go food. I don't think it could be solely coffee, in my opinion. I think it would be very difficult unless it was extremely good coffee. I think it would be difficult to have a just coffee shop.
Yeah. So I was looking at the story of Blank Street Coffee.
Yeah.
And that was a very, very interesting story, and it still is. And they're growing quite fast. I mean, much like you're growing very fast. And
yeah,
so,
I've heard of them. Yeah.
Yeah, and the story is, I think they're trying to be an alternative to the likes of Starbucks and Costa, because a lot of us are reliant on. Although, like, we're taking a boycott standpoint against those brands, but ultimately, if there was some, maybe alternative brands with similar quality or better, then I think there is a market, no?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of like the main street coffee companies. I'm more of like an independent. I prefer a more independent artisan kind of coffee. I'm a big coffee drinker, but yeah, I won't go to any of the big names.
Do you feel like when you have coffee, you become used to a certain certain coffee type?
Yeah, I definitely need to have like a good coffee to wake me up. If I have a bad coffee, it's not good. It has the opposite effect.
Now, what does your day to day look like? What do you do now?
I wake up about 8 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock. I leave the house within about half an hour. I've got a driver that takes me to the office. If I go to the office, maybe twice a week. And it's mainly just meetings and meeting investors or meeting new franchisees or meeting new suppliers. Before it was very physical and manual kind of labor and running around, but now it's more just meetings really.
And then obviously fast forward, Fireaway Pizza. Very interesting. I haven't tried it, by the way. I do need to try. I drive past it all the time.
Yeah.
I just need to stop by next time and have one. So what I've understood from your other podcasts is like the Subway of pizza shop.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Halal version.
Subway
Subway version of, pizza.
Amazing. And how did that come about? Like, obviously you've had some bad experience with food. How comes you went for another food?
I think coffee is kind of an early morning thing, and I'm not really, at the time I wasn't really an early morning person, so I struggled to wake up very early. So I thought a fast food kind of product would be more later in the evening. It's more busy in the evening, and we open at 12 o'clock. So I was looking for something where I wouldn't have to wake up early, to be honest.
That's so funny.
If I'm being fully honest. Pizza being Italian, it came to mind first. And then I like the idea of Subway. People can see the freshness, the products in front of them. So I basically combined the two, and it went really well.
And how did you think, okay, let's combine the Subway model into pizza? Like,
I just think if you're going to do something, it has to be different. And I think if you look at the main players that were out there at the time, they all look pretty similar, and there was nothing that really stood out about them. So I thought that if I'm going to do it, then you're going to have to add like a twist on it, and the open kind of kitchen along with like a proper oven where customers can see everything. I thought that would be a good route to take, and it went well.
Did you take the Subway element before you launched Fireaway, or is that something that came along the way?
Before.
So you just were thinking, and suddenly the eureka moment came, and you thought, that's it, that's going to be the business.
Yeah, I think it's good to have everything open instead of hidden at the back where people can't see what's going on.
And did that present some challenges as well, it being open and?
Yeah. There was definitely more challenges, and I think but good challenges because there was you can't hide anything, Whereas some of these shops you don't know what's happening at the back. This way you couldn't hide anything. Everything had to be fresh, had to be presentable, had to be clean. So there was challenges, but I think they were good challenges.
Nice. And you guys don't use the normal ovens the other pizza chains use.
Yeah, that was a big challenge because the other ovens that people use, they're very easy to use. You don't have to really do much. But these ones, they're more difficult. And you need to have like a level of skill to operate them.
So how did you come to the conclusion, do you know what, I'm going to take the harder approach?
I think at the time I didn't realize how hard it was because obviously it was the first shop. So
Okay.
I kind of just jumped in thinking that it would be easy. And then once the oven was there, obviously it presented challenges, but we worked our way around them.
So when you take on franchisees,
Mm.
do you guys have to have special checks like, okay, you know what, is it going to be fit for our equipment or the kind of ovens that we use? And have you ever had a moment where you had to decline a site or something because it didn't fit the criteria?
Yeah, many times. I think you need the right amount of space. You obviously need gas supplies, which isn't always possible to get in all locations.
Yeah.
So that was an issue. And then it needs to be in a location where it's easy for people to travel to, like chefs. If you need specialist chefs and you're in the middle of nowhere, it's going to be kind of difficult to get people to work. So yeah, there's a number of things, a number of factors which would stop us from moving.
So the initial layout that you've had in your first store, how did the layouts change along the way, or has it changed at all?
No, it hasn't changed really. That's been what it has been since the beginning. Yeah, minimal customer area, open kitchen, and then storage at the back.
Was that all like determined with a purposeful kind of idea where you wanted it like that, or is it because of constraints like space issues or something?
I think it was a bit of both. It was a bit of luck, it was a bit of planning, and it was a bit of constraints, but it worked well. We kept the same layout since.
Amazing. And how long did you run your first store? What was the first day like?
First year was difficult. With a small team, had to do a lot of it myself. Delivering pizzas, managing the store, customer service, basically everything apart from cooking the food. So yeah, it was difficult. It was stressful, but it was worth it.
And did you guys make much money on the first day?
Yeah,
was
first
it as expected?
day we sold. I mean, it was about 6-7 years ago now, so it's difficult to remember. But the first year in general, we made a decent amount of money, maybe like £20,000 profit, which at the time and for a new business, it was good.
So did you have like bespoke packaging from day one, or was it off the shelf stuff?
Some of it was off the shelf and some of it was bespoke packaging. But obviously, when you're ordering small amounts for one shop, that pushes the price up. So that was one of the reasons we didn't make as much money. But yeah, we tried to keep it as bespoke as possible from the first day.
When you obviously make a pizza, people say, oh, the only thing costly in a pizza shop is the packaging. Is that true, or is that a myth?
I mean, it depends what kind of pizza you're getting. I mean, you can use, in the beginning, we was ordering from like an Italian supplier, and it was expensive because everything came directly from Italy. And if you're using top quality Italian products, obviously you're going to pay a lot more than if you're going to like Macros or Bookers or these cash and carries. So, yeah, I mean, pizza in general is cheap, but I mean, there's different levels of pizza in it. You can use like extra virgin olive oil, or you can use some cheap frying oil or cooking oil. So there's levels to it. I mean, there's levels to everything, isn't it?
So, when it came to pricing,
Yeah.
how did you come to the conclusion of how your pricing is going to be versus
Just
others?
kind of looked at the area that we were in, the demographic, and what was affordable, and looked at the competition. But to be honest, we priced it way too low, which in hindsight may have been a good thing because it drew in a lot of customers to try the product. But then eventually we had to put the price up because it was just too cheap. And when VAT kicks in, that's like 20% gone. So yeah, we increased the price. But in the beginning, it was very cheap.
How much were you selling them for?
I think about £7 or £8.
For which size? Or is
But
it
like
only one
it's
size?
only one size, yeah, simple. It was like a medium large. So it was cheap. It was cheap.
Wow. Because I have a food place as well. And the
Yeah.
reason why I'm asking you those questions, like, yeah, I don't know how you guys do it, man. It's
not easy.
tough. It's difficult. It's difficult because I've got a restaurant downstairs called Buddies. It's like fast food, the East London type, you know, the chicken and chips.
Yeah.
So I thought, you know what, lockdown, what do we do? Like, we need a business that will be sustainable throughout lockdowns or any downs.
Yeah.
But we thought, you know what, I'm really passionate about this business and, I love going to it. You know, the food is amazing, but it hasn't innovated along the way. So I thought, you know what, we're going to innovate to as much as we can, keep the food as it is, and just repackage the whole thing. And effectively, it's going to be a 2.0 version of a PFC.
Yeah.
And that's what we went for. And then...
I think you have to be passionate about anything that you do. I mean, if you're not passionate about it, I think you're going to give up quite easy, or you're not going to give it as much, interest as if it was something that you enjoy doing. So I think, definitely you need to be passionate about it. And like you said, sometimes you need to stop, rethink and restructure the setup and improve it. I think you can always improve as you go along. I don't think you should be stuck in your ways.
So right now, as it stands, we're losing money every week. 2 years in, so we just can't balance it out. It's like either it's too expensive or it's too cheap. It's too expensive or too cheap. You put the price down and you're taking a hit. And then there's
you don't want to put the price down.
Complaints and complaints.
I think you don't want to put the price down too much. A lot of companies, I think, that fail, they continuously looking how they can slash the price, and then it's basically like a race to the bottom. Because if the prices are too cheap, I think it's better to increase the price and lose some customers, but to still have that level of the right profit margin and the same level of customers, and that way you can focus on the customers that you do have.
Do you read bad reviews?
In the beginning, I used to. I tried to keep everybody happy and reply to all the reviews. And the fact of the matter is, you can't keep everybody happy, no matter what business you have, in my opinion. So, I mean, obviously, you should be trying to keep as many people as possible happy, and you should be taking feedback. But there are people that will complain, regardless.
Do you think they just complain for the sake of complaining,
so.
Or maybe they just want refund, or they just want
either
something
one,
else?
yeah, either way. But I mean, you can't make everybody.
So you
happy.
don't read any more reviews. You just do what you do best to the best of your ability, and you just.
I think I read reviews sometimes, but I don't think you can take too much notice of them unless you're getting the same negative feedback. Then obviously you need to look at it.
To me, it helps me. It doesn't help me. It affects me mentally. I'm like, what do we do? Like, this complaint, that complaint. It's the worst one is tasteless. Like, how can that be?
I think that's a matter of opinion, isn't it? I mean, some people might find something tasteless and the next person might find it amazing. So I think in terms of those kind of feedback, I wouldn't pay too much attention to it. But in terms of like delivery time, customer service,
wrong orders, wrong items.
Yeah, those kind of things I think are a bit more easier to pick up on.
So did you ever have those complaints like, oh, you've sent the wrong thing?
Yeah. I mean, if you've got a lot of customers and you're busy, you're bound to get complaints with any business. I don't think it's not possible to run a 100% smooth operation. So the busier you get, I think you're going to have complaints regardless, but it's about how you deal with them and how you improve on them.
And what did you guys do to give me an example? Maybe you personally faced a angry customer
I
over
think
a certain.
the main thing is delivery times. So I think, as I said, when you're busy and you've got like 10 customers waiting, you can only do so much in a certain amount of time. So I think that was one of the main issues was delivery times. So the only thing you can really do is hire more drivers, improve the operation of the kitchen to make sure that you're not having any wasted time, and that you're maximizing the potential.
So do you guys not use like Uber and
Yeah, we use
like-
them as well, but I mean you can't solely rely only on them. So we have our own drivers as well.
Every franchise stores, do they have that?
Yeah, I think you need to. I don't think you can rely on these other companies, because at the end of the day, they're running their business. They're not running your business. So their drivers are not as likely to give as much care as your ones.
So what is the percentage normally, ballpark, of orders coming through, say, third party and your own delivery platform?
We're looking at about in-store and collection makes up about 50%.
Oh, that's good.
And the other 50% is split between our drivers and then the platform drivers.
What does it mean if your in-store is below, say, 30% or even 35%?
I think it depends what kind of business you're in. I think with fast food, with pizza, it's mainly a delivery business, isn't it? So, I mean, on average, it should be about where it was 70% delivery and 30% in-store. But again, depends on the location, where you are, if it's a high footfall area. But we're at about 50, 55, 45.
Do you guys actively promote like in-store experiences, or where you want people to come in store?
Yeah.
Or would you rather them stay at home and just...
No, I think I'd rather there be a split, because you don't want everyone in store, you don't want everyone ordering at home. But I think if you can work on like a balanced split, then I think it's a lot easier to control.
Okay. So you as a person, obviously every entrepreneur, they make their mistakes, they learn from it, they refine their approach, their strategies, their principles. What's your success principle as it stands?
I think in the beginning it was very money orientated, because I didn't have money, I didn't come from money. So that was the main goal and that was the main aim. But I think as you grow, I think you realize that the money side of things is not as important as you thought. It's still important, don't get me wrong, but it's not as important as it's not the main, massive destination and target, which is just money. It's a balance. Obviously, you need some money, but it's more about helping people and growing and learning and passing on knowledge and meeting new people and traveling to new places, at least for me. And as I got older, that's what I kind of realized.
How old are you now?
34.
That's young.
Is it? I don't feel young.
I'm 38 or 39.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, you don't look that old.
So, okay. So it's not about money. And for you, you never had money. What's that story? I mean, take us back in time.
I just was like an average guy. I grew up in Mitcham in South London. My mum, my dad, 2 brothers, 2 sisters. So there was about 7 of us in like a small 3-bedroom house. And then my mum and dad split up, and then we moved. But basically just a normal, nothing out of the ordinary, nothing special, just kind of average. But I realized at school that I wanted to make money, and from selling sweets and doing little businesses like while still at school. I realized that maybe it was because I wasn't really high up there in terms of like education and intelligence, like IQ. So I thought I always wanted to like have a business. Maybe because I didn't want to work for anybody else. Maybe because I didn't like waking up early in the morning. Maybe because I didn't like listening to following rules. Whatever it was, I'm not too sure, but it kind of led me down that path.
Do you follow rules?
Not really, unless I have to.
So do you think people are born entrepreneurs, or can they make themselves entrepreneurs if
Honestly,
they're not?
I think anybody can do it. It's not some magic mystery kind of gift or talent. I think if you're determined enough and you're passionate enough about something, I think as long as you put in the effort and time, I think anyone can do it. But not everyone wants to put in the effort and time and determination and sacrifices to get there. So that's why not everyone is at the same level. But I don't think it's like a mystery or there's some magic thing. I think anyone can do it if you're on it enough. Then anyone can get there.
I'm sure you get DMs from young people like, "Hey, I want to
Mm.
do this. What would you advise me?" What do you tell young people when they say, "I want to launch a business. I want to get into business"?
I would say from personal experience, don't take too long thinking about it and planning it and worrying about it. I'd say just get on with it and do it, and get on with it and do it as quick as possible, and spend at least like 3-4 years working on it. I think too many people, including myself, will just give up very quickly and jump onto the next thing or go back to doing what they were doing before. I think people don't give it enough time. They think that everything's going to happen, extremely quickly. And I think that's why a lot of these online courses about trading and property, people jump on it thinking that it's going to happen like that. I think people these days, they don't want to put in the time. They don't want to put in the effort. They just want to be 0 to 100, like really quickly.
Are you more of a tangible business type? I mean, from your obviously background, it seems as though you are more in favor of tangible businesses where you build something where it's sustainable, it's helping other people along the way, as opposed to someone who's just saying, you know what, I'm going to do trading, I'm going to make a lot of money, and I'm going to just do whatever.
I think it's more of taking the easy option. I think, especially like the food business, it's very labor intensive. It's a people's business, and it's stressful as well. And if you can make money at home sitting on a computer, then obviously people, including myself, would probably take that option. But things aren't always, as easy as they seem. And sometimes instead of wasting 5 years looking for a get rich quick scheme, you can spend 5 years building a business from scratch, and at the end of the 5 years having, something of value, opposed to spending 5 years looking for a get rich quick scheme that never actually comes.
It's absolutely mind-boggling what you can do in 3 years. 5 years is even better, but even in 3 years, if you really put your head down, year one, you do your initial stage. Year two is it's hard work, and year three where you start kind of balancing out slowly.
Yeah,
it's amazing what can be done.
But I would say for young people, even me at the time, I think 3 years sounds like a long time. And if someone says to you, you've got to put in blood, sweat and tears and sacrifice for even 2 years to have something of value, I think at the time people would even think twice about looking for a more quicker, like a get rich quick scheme, opposed to waiting 3 years. Because I remember at the time thinking 3 years is a long time to be working on something. But as you get older, you realize time flies, and 3 years isn't that long at all.
And when you're on this side of the fence, it's you just don't have enough time. You want time to go more slowly, but it doesn't. It just speeds up more.
Yeah, 100%. When I was at school, I didn't like school and I didn't want to go to school, and I would try my best to bunk off. And the times that my mum would let me stay at home, the whole day went so slowly. I don't know how. I didn't know what to do with myself. After you watch TV for like a couple hours, you think, right, the day's going so slow. But then as you get older, the time just flies past, and there's not enough hours in the day to get everything done. So it's mad how your perception changes as you get older.
So obviously you've gone on a very, very fast journey, super fast journey with your pizza franchise joint. How did you evolve as a person along the way, and how fast did you have to change your approach, your attitude, your how you do things, and was it difficult?
I think although it was kind of quick, it's 6-7 years is still, you know, a chunk of time. And although the days are very busy, it wasn't overnight, which is good. It wasn't like within a week, it wasn't within a month, it wasn't within a year. It's still a substantial amount of time. And I think because things were happening at quite a fast pace, you don't realize yourself adapting and changing, but obviously you have to. And I think the main thing is just dealing with stress and organizing yourself in a way where you can do as much as possible and fit in as much as possible in a short amount of time. But I think, yeah, everybody has to adapt and change as the business or even as life changes. I mean, you have to adapt and you have to change, and your perception, as I said, of things change. So when I started, how you look at something is different as how you look at it now, and the things that you want to achieve and the things that you want to do, they also change as you get older.
Hey guys, I hope you have been enjoying our discussion today so far on Side by Side with myself, Kazi Shafiqur Rahman, as your host, and our guest, Mario Allepo, the founder of Fireaway Pizza. This episode was brought to you by Get Micro, a web design agency that's based in London who create beautiful websites for entrepreneurs and small and medium-sized businesses for less than £900 delivered within 10 days or less. If you are looking for a beautifully crafted website to express your products, services, or your ideas, please visit Get Micro. If you have been enjoying our discussion so far, please do consider subscribing to our channel on the platform you are tuned into, because it is your subscription that motivates us to keep moving forward episode after episode. And don't forget to comment below with any guest recommendations and engage with us on social media. With that said, let's get straight into the show. Have you read any books along the way to fast track your, mental growth?
I'm not a fan of reading, to be honest with you.
Listening or whatever.
Yeah, I think, especially recently, I think you can learn a lot from other people's experiences and other people's journeys. And you can learn by their mistakes, which is a big thing as well, to see where they went wrong and where they went right and adapt that to your life and your business. So, I mean, I spend a lot of time on the road driving, and whereas before I'd be listening to music all day, which is good sometimes to relax, but you can easily listen to a podcast or to, you know, even learning another language, learning things. I think once you realize that you don't have a lot of time in this world, then you put your time to more value. But when you're young and you think that, you know, you're going to be here forever, then you don't really think twice about wasting time as you do when you're older. I think you value time a lot more as you get older, and you think twice about what to actually do with your time and who to give your time to.
You said you have a driver. When did you get a driver? And was that to save time, or was it more like, you know what, it's more of a treat and kind of a luxury?
I think when I was young, I always thought, you know, if I have a driver and I have a personal assistant, that'll be amazing. But I didn't really think that I would need one. But then as you get older and your perception changes and your life changes, and the fact that I got 11 points on my driving license, so I need to be
so you don't follow rules much.
I need to be very careful. So the fact that I've got a driver, got a personal assistant, it saves a lot of time. I can do a lot of work. I can do a lot more work than I'd be able to do if I didn't have those people to help me. So I think it's more about, again, maximizing your time and to make the most of your time.
How did you make that decision? Like, I'm at that fence, you know. I really wish I could have a driver, but I just don't know how I'm going to integrate it into my life the way it works now. Like, how would I tell him, okay, come here, come there, or do this or do that?
I do a lot of driving because our office is quite far away. So for the last few years, I've done a lot of driving, so I know what my daily routine is. And yeah, I think, funny enough, he's a good guy, he's my friend, and he said to me, you know, a couple of years ago, because he used to work in the warehouse, and he said, I want to do something myself. I want to start a business. I want to, you know, have you got some time where I can learn? And I said, to be honest with you, bro, I ain't got the time to do my own stuff, let alone help someone else. They said, all right, cool. And then after a few months, when I was thinking about getting a driver, he said, I'll do it. And it works both ways, because obviously I'm with him every day. He's a really good guy. And I'm sure he listens to me talking. Obviously, he can't not listen to me talking in the back. So I think he's learning bits and pieces. You know, he's coming around with me every day, and he's actually learning while he's working. And obviously he's earning money. He's driving a nice car. So it works for him, and it works for me. So yeah, I think.
So does he do 2 jobs or
just one job now? He just drives.
just drive?
Yeah. He just drives.
So what does he do when he's not driving?
It's a good question. I don't know. I don't know. I'd have to ask him. No, he even like today when I'm here, but I need to pick up some stuff from a shop around the corner. So he's gone to do that while I'm here. So there's always something to do.
How often do you do store visits? Maybe it would make more sense.
We had a new shop open yesterday in Wales, so I'm gonna go there. Normally now, just when the new shop's open, I go there.
Do you visit every shop when they open, or even maybe after it's open?
Yeah, if I'm passing, I'll pop in. But normally it's when they open.
It's funny how things change, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, you know, when you first open few stores, it's such a big deal. And, you know, I'm going to be there. I'm going to cut the ribbon.
Yeah.
And then when you have so many, it's like, someone else can go and open it.
Yeah, I think, but I think it's good not to forget, you know, the little things, which also are possibly big things for other people.
Amazing, man. Amazing. So let's say I come to you for advice. I've got this restaurant called Buddies. We sell chicken and chips. I want to take it to the franchise market. What do I do?
I think to get it into franchising, number one, it has to be making some money, because if you're going to charge people for a franchise, they're not going to do it.
When you say money, as in it has to be profitable. The business itself has to be.
It would have to be profitable. It would have to be easy to replicate. You would need to have like a structure in place, a foundation, operation book. You know, you're basically giving someone the blueprint to run the business. So therefore, everything has to be in place before you do that. I think although obviously, as I said, you learn a lot of things as you go along, and you can implement changes and learn from your mistakes. I think when it comes to franchising, you should have most of the things already ironed out before you give it to someone else. So yeah, you need operations book, you need the recipes, you need the logistics and distribution side sorted, you need the tech side sorted, so that everything is basically replicated across the board, because that will save you a lot of headache down the line if it isn't done at the beginning.
So imagine I made a decision, you know what, it's going to go to franchise route, it's going to go down that route. How long do I need before I can say to someone, yeah, we're ready to sell you a franchise?
I think it should be at least a year. I think we had our first shop for about 7-8 months before one of the customers come in and asked if he could franchise it. And looking back, maybe I took that decision a bit too quickly. But at the time, you know, I was young, dumb, and just in a rush. And the fact that someone came to me, not that, you know, we was advertising and promoting, the fact that someone come to me and asked, then I thought, you know, I don't want to miss this opportunity. So we done it. And that guy's got 3 shops now. So he's doing well.
And I've seen one of your videos, you said his shop did better than yours.
Yeah. I think maybe because he had his whole family in there running it, whereas with mine, it was just me, basically.
You and staff.
And staff, obviously, yeah. But I think if you've got family in there, sometimes you can keep a better eye on.
So do I need to go to consultants and say, hey, you know what, I want to do this, but I don't have my paperwork, or I don't have my manual, or I mean, who writes the manuals? Do you have to write it yourself?
Yeah, we write ourselves. But I mean, you basically have a manual already. It might not be written down, but it's in your head. Obviously, you tell the people what to do, how to make the food. So you just have to put it into black and white so that people can copy it. You basically just have to write down everything that happens in the shop from the moment it opens to the moment it closes. and then give it to someone else so they can copy the same.
And so imagine you've got all the bullet points or whatever you do throughout the day. Did you have to give it to someone like a professional company to?
I mean, we didn't. No, we didn't. I mean, the only thing you need to get a professional to do is the legal work, like the franchise agreement, because that's one of the most important things. I mean, that basically tells people what they can do and what they can't do, and it should be very clear so that there's no misunderstandings down the line of what you expect from them and what they expect from you.
So, how do you control though? Like say you've given someone a franchise operation and they're not doing what you want, what you need them to do to maintain the uniformity of the brand.
I think first you have to try and explain the situation to them, and try and help them. And if they don't understand or they don't accept the help, then you need to remove the brand from them as quickly as possible before they do any more damage. And I think, when people ask for advice on what needs to be done before you start going down that route, I think you need a good accountant. Without a good accountant, you can lose a lot of money. You need a good solicitor. Without a good solicitor, you can make a lot of mistakes, and people can cause a lot of damage to you. So I think we changed our solicitor maybe 3 times, and now finally we've got a very good one.
Is it quite a big one?
Not too big, but I mean he's known within. Sometimes it's not always good to go to the big ones where they have so many clients that they couldn't care less.
Yeah.
So we've got a very good solicitor, and also accountants. I mean, we changed accountants 3 times because.
Do they have to be specialists in food accounting? Because it seems like food account there's like this is VAT and that VAT, 0 VAT and no VAT.
No, I think
how does this stuff work?
I think a good accountant would know that anyway. I've never met a food specialist accountant, but I know my accountant is he knows what he's talking about in terms of like you said, VAT, taxes, and what's the best way to deal with those things. Because if you've got an accountant that couldn't care less, he's not going to think twice whether your business survives or not.
You don't have a presence in Tower Hamlets with Fireaway Pizza. Imagine I come to you to open a Fireaway Pizza in Tower Hamlets. What do I have to do?
So first you'd have to find a location, and then if it was suitable, I mean, it was the right size, wasn't the right...
What's the size?
Minimum 800 square foot.
Okay.
And then obviously it would need to have gas, all the utilities. It would need to be suitable for cooking. So some properties aren't suitable for cooking. And once all that's done, and then we have a meeting and we do our internal checks on the franchisee, then you give us the keys, you pay the money, and we offer like a turnkey solution.
That's it.
Easy.
So do you interview me or how do you know who I am and if I've got the, dare I say, balls to, run a business?
I mean, certain things you won't know until, you actually get in there. But certain things that can be checked are like experience, history, financials, that we would check. But to be honest with you, with franchising, the good thing is that you can expand very quickly and you can grow without putting in too much capital from your personal pocket. But the bad side is obviously the franchisees that come in, they might not always be as good as you believe them to be in the beginning. So we do as many checks as we can, but ultimately you won't know until they're in there running it.
Do you prefer meeting, say I come to you, would you prefer you met me in person to get a feel of like if I am like the right guy?
100%. Yeah.
So 100%. Is that with all your franchisees?
Yes,
like you need to know like, who they are?
Yeah. They have to come in for a couple of meetings before, we proceed with.
How long does it take for you to suss me out? Like, okay,
me
this
personally,
guy's not
probably
on
about 10-15 minutes. I mean, you'll never know for sure, but I think about 10-15 minutes.
What do you get in those 10-15 minutes? What are you looking for?
Just like a vibe, if people are fully interested or not, if they know what they're talking about, even by the questions they ask or that they don't ask, you can tell a lot about a person. So I think, those first 10-15 minutes are key before.
Have you ever told anyone, look, I don't think you're ready, and I don't think.
Yeah. A couple times, yeah.
And what are the red flag questions that makes you think, you know what, this guy has not got any clue about business?
Normally, if they start asking for things cheaper and you haven't even, it's your first meeting and they're asking you to do them a deal or a discount and you don't even know who they are and that's normally a red flag. Another red flag is if they don't ask anything at all and they just come in and just say hello and talk for a few minutes and then say, all right, that's fine then. So I think after a while, you just kind of know, innit? You just kind of get used to.
So I've passed my interview with you. How much do I have to pay to get it all going from the moment we engage, or like the franchise fees and stuff?
From A to Z, you're looking at about 150 grand for the shop, and then ongoing fees. Most franchises, they take a commission, like a percentage, whereas we charge a set fee. But all in all, you need to have money in the bank as well, like reserve. So you need about 180,000 to actually get going. A lot of people use finance. They don't use their own money. They put down like 30% deposit and they use other people's money.
Do you guys you work with banks where you refer, let's say, franchises to go to a certain bank and get the funding?
As long as you got good credit, then there's no
And
issues.
what are the banks looking for? They're looking for a business plan,
we give them all of that. They got.
Or you help them with the business plan.
Yeah, because we've done it before, innit? So it's there.
Wow. So if someone doesn't pay you, what do you do? Your ongoing fees.
I think first of all you got to look why they're not paying, if they're being difficult or if they can't afford to pay it, and help them as much as possible. But if people are just taking the piss, then obviously get rid of them.
So how do you know? I mean, when you know, I'm sure not all stores are performing well. There are stores that are not performing well.
Yeah, we've got stores that.
What do you do in this situation to help this franchisee?
You need to work with them to push customers through the door. But if the issue is customers are not returning because they're not happy with the service or with the product, then obviously you need to look at that. There's no point pushing customers through a door if they're going to have a bad experience. So I think you need to first make sure that the operation is 10 out of 10, and then you look at the marketing side to increase sales.
Now back to buddies.
Yeah.
I don't have time. For example, I've got the first store. It looks beautiful. It looks amazing. The food is amazing as well, but maybe the operations are not really amazing. Maybe there's some mistakes happening, wrong orders, wrong items, missing items, blah, blah, blah. But I don't have time to put operations manual in place. Would you say it's okay to go to a consultant and get them to come in and, set it all up for me?
Yeah, definitely. I'd say go to someone that's done it before, or a consultant that's done it before, where you can check their customer feedback. Because a lot of people will say they'll do this and that, but then when it actually comes to it, it won't be as great as you think. So I'd say go to someone that's done it before, and let them deal with it. Obviously, it's going to cost you, but sometimes it's better to not have the headache and to pay the money.
Imagine you had to rewind back in time and you want to save time and you had to engage a consultant to do your stuff. How much would you be willing to pay that consultant? A good one, like someone who's going to deliver.
Back in the day, I think if they're looking to do everything A to Z, it's got to be at least 20 grand. I mean, we paid £5,000 just for our franchise agreement. But I know people that have paid 50, 60,000 pounds to companies to do the whole thing for them, and they haven't done anything. So
they haven't done anything.
I mean, they've done it, but they haven't. There's no franchises, so they haven't really. Everyone will talk the talk and say they can do this and that, and then when it actually comes down to it, they can't. So I'd say you need to check the feedback before you pay anything. It's the same with all these courses. Like if you're going to pay someone because they drive a nice car or they live in a big house, and nothing happens, then in a way, it kind of serves you right, because they're the wrong reasons that you should be looking to do these things. You need to look at their experience, their history, their customer feedback, not what car they drive.
So imagine I've received a proposal from a consultant who's going to set up buddies to be the franchise operation, and you're going to hopefully sell a franchise towards the end. what do I need to be careful of in that proposal or contract? Like before I sign it off and give a 5K deposit or something, how do I make sure that this consultant is not going to just...
I think if you've checked their other customers and their feedback and that's okay, then I think you need to look at the contract and see what the absolute minimum return that you're going to get if they're going to open a certain amount of stores within, I don't know, 3 years, if they're going to push your brand at franchise shows on their website. You need to look at the traffic that they get on their website and at their shows. So I think there's a number of things you can look at, but the main thing is like a minimum service guarantee to see, what they guarantee that they can get you. And
so what if their promise is, look, I'm going to set you up a financial model, I'm going to put your deck together, I'm going to do your SOP, I'm going to do your whatever, outreach, but I'm not going to guarantee you any franchisees.
I think I'd be very careful, because in terms of putting a deck together and all of that, I mean, anyone can do that, like a designer. I can do that. But in terms of actively going out there and finding new franchises, that's a different story. So if they're going to do like a certain amount of franchise shows, or they're going to send out a certain amount of brochures, you can actually measure that. But if they say, we're going to try our best, then there's no guarantee. It depends how much you're paying them. If you're paying them a few grand, you might think, let them run with it.
So is it all just templates that they remodel to fit your operations?
I'm assuming so. I mean, that's basically what it is, isn't it? It's just different information. But at the end of the day, if your store or your business, your brand is not making money, if the product is not perfected, if the service is not perfected, then I think looking into franchising is probably the wrong time.
You're just going to upset more people.
Yeah. And
you're going to have a franchisee that's upset and more customers that are upset.
More headache for you. So, yeah, I think there's certain things that you should do before you even look at franchising.
Interesting. So, because I thought, the consultant is going to come in and they're going to look at everything, your operations, and they're going to document everything. And at the end, you're going to have like a business in a box, your business in a box to sell to somebody else. But it doesn't, from what I'm hearing, that's not what it seems like.
It doesn't always work like that. But then what other companies will do is say, instead of paying, I don't know, £40,000 up front, you pay 10,000. But then from every franchisee that we bring you, we take a percentage. So that's probably a better way of doing things. If they're so sure and they're confident that what they're going to do is good, then you can, instead of paying up front, you can pay gradually.
Okay, let's use a real life example now. Let's say, buddies, I've got a proposal in front of me, 20 grand, the consultant wants.
Yeah.
And they've got experience in food and they've set up other, franchise operations for other brands that are visible to us. How can I make sure that the 20 grand that I'm going to pay, so they're saying okay, pay me in 12 months. We're going to spread the payment across 12 months. So you get to see what we're doing as well within that 12 months. But the deal is for, say, 20 grand, and that's what you're liable to pay. How can I now make sure my interests are protected and at the same time, there's deliveries?
I would say maybe work on a commission basis instead of paying up front or over the graduate, pay on a commission. So for every franchisee that they bring you, you give them a cut. I think that would work. That motivates them to then bring you people.
And the documentation and stuff, do they just have to do it, or do you have to pay them as well?
Maybe you'd have to give them like a small deposit. But the main thing is that they're going to bring you people.
Oh, so you're saying pay them a deposit for all the package, but it's linked to certain deals. Like if you do me that deal, then I'm going to give you that much. And so it's based on delivery.
Yeah. I think that's the best way to work if you can.
So that way, it's like whatever they're saying, they have to now put put it into action
if they want to get paid. Yeah.
Interesting. Good. Very timely guest. Amazing. So what's future looking like for Fireaway?
I think what we've done is we've slowed down nationally, but we've pushed internationally. So we've got a shop in Portugal, it's doing very well. We've got a shop in Turkey, it's doing very well. They're opening a second one. We've got a shop in Amsterdam, it's doing okay. We've got we've sold the master franchise for 8 countries: Australia, India, Germany, Portugal, Turkey, Holland, somewhere else. So I think the main thing is just to grow the brand awareness. I mean, the structure's there, the foundation is there, the product and the service system is there. I think we just need to grow on the brand awareness. Until recently, we haven't really done too much marketing. I mean, we've done one TV advert last Christmas, and we've done social media, but we haven't really done like a lot of marketing compared to some of the other brands. So I think now if we focus on that and focus on tweaking the issues instead of just opening so many shops. I mean, we've got 155 shops, so for me, it's
Amazing.
It's good. Yeah.
Impressive figure. 150, like in what, 7 years? Did you just say? That's how did you like cope with all of this? Like
With difficulty.
I'm sure, like, you know, you've got your team, you know, out there, contractors doing what they need to be doing. They're tied with a, you know, legal document. If they don't deliver, then there's certain penalties. But I'm sure it's all coming back to you.
I think no matter what you do, there's going to be headache. No matter what business you do, no matter how easy you think it is, there's always going to be obstacles. There's always going to be headache. And it's about how you deal with them, how you overcome them. If you've got the right team, the right people to help you overcome them. You can't do everything yourself, and the quicker you realize that, the better. That's why it's good to take advice and tips and tricks and contacts from people that have already done it.
You know, big entrepreneurs like Steve Jobs and Bill Gates and the likes, they say hire the best team your money can buy. But how do you go about, if you're a growing small company, say you've got 40, 50 people in your books, and you're generating, say, about 2 million. How do you now go and attract someone that's solid?
You either offer them a piece of the company. If they're really, really, really good, you offer them like a piece of the company. You can offer them shares. You can offer them bonuses if they reach certain targets. But ultimately, if you don't have the funds there and you're a small business and you're looking to grow, you can only get the best that you can get for your money. There's no point going and looking to hire like the CEO of McDonald's. You know, if you're a small business, you have to look for the best that your money can buy and work with what you got.
You know, in every business, in the startup phase, and then you go to your growth phase, and then the tide turns, like where the customers start promoting the brand instead of you promoting. Like with Sunamas, we've seen that in the early days it was difficult. Like everything was just planted by us. Every seed of marketing was done by us. But now it's like we do marketing on an ongoing basis. We have a budget, but it's like the customers are also helping promote that brand.
I think once you get to a certain level and you've built a brand, then you still do marketing, but you don't have to do as much, because once you've got a brand that people like to be associated with and they like to show their friends and family that they're associated with, then they kind of do marketing themselves. I mean, word of mouth is the best form of marketing that there is. So I think once you get to a certain level and you've built something, then people relate to the brand, especially if there's a story behind it as well. People relate to a story more than they relate to, you know, something that they never heard of or that they just can't relate to. So I think it's about building the brand, it's about building the story, it's about building the reputation, and then letting people pass on through word of mouth.
Do you think if your face wasn't visible in public domain, Fireaway would have been slower in terms of growth?
I think so. I think everyone likes a success story. Well, not everybody. There's a lot of like, you know, there's a lot of hate in it for everyone, I think. And I think that's
how can you get hate, man? Like, I understand if I get hate or something.
I don't know. I think the world, I think people can be split into 2 categories. There's either people that hate and are jealous and are envious, or there's people that are inspired and are happy and are motivated. They're the 2 kinds of people that I can see. And at the end of the day, you don't get anywhere by hating on anybody. Or if you're inspired by someone, you take something positive from it and you improve yourself. And if you're motivated by someone or a story, then that helps you. But if you hate on someone or you're envious or jealous, it don't really help anybody. So I think yeah, learn from other people's mistakes, and as you see, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world as it is without people, hating for no reason. So yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, you just got to do you and focus on you and your destination and your aim. Help as many people as possible, but don't take it too personally if someone doesn't really agree with you.
So you reckon it would have been slower, the growth of Fireaway, if there was no there's some brands that are faceless brands, and you wonder who's behind it, who owns it, and then when you do some digging, you still can't find. And nowadays, with the world, where the world is going, it's more on the storytelling based kind of businesses, and I've seen so many success stories based on stories because they follow the founder and they really kind of started engaging with the founder, and they started following their success story, and they backed the founder as opposed to the business itself.
Yeah, I think I'm not really a too kind of camera person. I mean, I don't mind doing bits here and there and podcasts, but I wouldn't actively like talking to the camera and advertise too much. I'm not really a fan of that. But yeah, my team said, you have to do a certain amount because, like you say, people relate to a story, they relate to a person. I remember when we had the first shop and I had a sign outside the shop and it said, we were next to KFC, and it said something like, when you're spending money at a small business, you're not paying for another, first class flight to the other side of the world. You're not paying to heat the boss's swimming pool. You're supporting a local business with a normal, owner, which is true. And sometimes when you get too big, again, people, they don't see you as an independent, like, owner, family run business. They see it as, oh, this guy's got a lot of money now, so, I'm not going to shop there anymore.
Yeah.
So I think people come with different feelings and different motivations as why they should spend money in your business instead of, next door. But like I said, me personally, I don't get coffee from any of the high street brands. I always go to like small independent coffee shops just because I also feel that the quality is better because they don't have these massive rents to pay. They don't have all these investors and shareholders and, massive offices in central London. So me personally, I like to go to the small independent companies, and I see myself as still kind of a small owner of a business that has got quite big, but it's still compared to like some of the, we don't have massive offices in central London. We don't have massive teams of people, hundreds of people. We don't have massive rents to pay. But maybe that's my opinion from the inside, but from the outside, it's probably different.
It's amazing. It's interesting because the franchisees, they're buying into a framework, a process, not really necessarily a product per se. They're just buying into the whole thing. And when I think of KFC, like you've got these big top like executives working for a chicken shop. And then I'm like, wow, ultimately it's the product, it's the chicken itself. But then you've got all these highly qualified people working for them. And it's just something that I try to
get your head around.
Get my head around. Like, this guy is working for a chicken shop. Like, ultimately he's working for a chicken shop.
I think it's not only about the product. The product could be anything. It's about the service. It's about the branding. It's about their reputation and the story that people relate to. I think the product is important to an extent, but it could be anything. Like you said, it could be chicken. It could be clothes. It could be podcasts. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be anything out of the ordinary. But if you add a twist to it, even if you yourself are the brand, if you're different, if you have a twist that not everybody else has, if you provide a service that not everybody else can provide, I think the product doesn't have to be, crazy.
It's like an exchange. Product is the exchange or the currency that makes the exchange happen. Otherwise, there is no reason for me to talk to you or come to your premises. It's just an exchange that the product brings. And ultimately it's the brand association, because once the brand grows, then people start associating with the brand and it says something about them because they associate or they buy from that brand. So there's so much more than just pizza or chicken or perfumes. And it's something that I've been looking into last 2 years, like story building of a brand. How do you build a story? How do you narrate that story? Now, obviously, you are quite successful. I mean, from
Thanks.
what we can see, you're still the 100% shareholder of your franchise operation or the top company.
90%. Yeah, we give away a few percent to some investors. We give away a few percent to some employees, and 90%. Yeah.
Amazing. Have you become an investor already? Like
I've
where
invested in a
you
couple,
invest in startups?
Yeah, only 2, because I don't really like to. I wouldn't feel comfortable about investing or putting money into something that I couldn't actually be involved or focused on. So there's 2. One is a burger company up north called Five Ackies, and the other one is a cookie company called West Bakes Cookies. So they supply us cookies for the stores, and there's small, good people who are trying to build something, and I can relate to that because obviously not too long ago I was the same. So there's a lot of things that I think I could tell them to stop them making the same mistakes. Like I said, we had a bad accountant, then we switched it to an okay accountant in Coventry. You can tell if someone's interested in your business or not, or if they're just trying to take your money. Now we've got an accountant. We pay him a lot more, but we get a lot more for our money. And I think a lot of people are too focused on how much someone's charging for something instead of how much they can take away from it. So, for example, if I charged you £10,000 to put together a franchise deck and operation manual for your business, you could then, certain people will say £10,000, that's a lot of money. And then other people will say, how much money can I make with that deck and that operation manual? So people see things differently and they look at things differently. I don't think you can judge everybody by how they look at things. Everybody's different. But I think opposed to asking yourself how much something costs or how much you have to spend, you should also look at what you're getting in return. But certain people, they can't look past the fact of £10,000. I don't want to pay £10,000.
They're just more interested about how much this guy is making as opposed to how much it's going to cost them if they don't pay that 10K to that good consultant or good accountant or good lawyer. Because ultimately they might end up paying 5K and they still get nothing, and then they'll still have to spend another 10K on top. I mean, these lessons, these mistakes, like you learn by making those mistakes. And if someone can learn from you, then
it's worth
amazing. It's amazing.
Worth the money,
and knowledge, experience is something that money can't buy.
100%.
And they always say, and it's so true. And some things seem very obvious to me, but to other people, to newcomers, it's not obvious. And I think I get a lot of messages like asking for advice. I just open my DMs and I do talk to people. I do give them advice, and I don't say, oh, you have to pay me this or that. Because I just feel like, you know what, it's knowledge, just sharing the knowledge is not going to cost me anything. So this is something that I've been thinking about recently as well, like the opportunity cost that keeps coming on my social media feeds, and that I can completely relate to that. Related to what we're speaking about. How much is it costing me not doing it or not paying certain people certain money? Mario, it's such an interesting conversation. We could, I guess, go on and on and on, but we do have to bring the episode to a closure. And before we do, let's give our viewers a bit of a perspective of who Mario is behind the scenes. Who is the person that you love the most?
As in someone close to me, or like a
family? Let's say family.
Probably my mum.
Amazing. Pineapple on pizza.
I would say yes. I think you have to be different. I don't think, doing the same as everybody else is not going to get you the same places as everybody else. So I would say yes, personally. Not in Italy. When I'm in Italy, I don't say that.
Italians say, like, this country, they can't do pizza. But I think, like, some of the pizza shops are quite good,
Yeah, they are. Yeah, I think they like more like a traditional.
Yeah, like Franco Manca type of pizza. That's the original Italian.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your favorite hobby when you're not doing anything?
It's difficult to find time, but probably traveling or the gym.
How often do you go to the gym?
Before I had a business, I was going about 5 times a week. And then once I started opening the business, I stopped going. I put on a lot of weight. And then about a year ago, I started again and maybe 3 times a week.
Amazing. Which business person or leader or entrepreneur that inspires you the most?
I think if you're talking like big levels, like crazy big levels, the likes of Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, and then people I kind of looked up to when I was younger. And then again, as I said earlier, where your perceptions change of things, you know, when you realize that there's so much badness going on in the world and there's so many people living in poverty, and then you've got people that have not got 1 billion or 2 billion, that have got 150 billion in their bank account, or at least not in their bank account, but in assets, then it makes you kind of look at people differently. And I think the aim is to help as many people as possible, not to have as many zeros in your bank account as possible. So, I mean, again, perceptions change. But in terms of business, then people are at the top. In terms of like UK and slightly smaller, I mean, what Gymshark and Ben Francis have done is amazing.
Absolutely. I was literally looking at his LinkedIn and, you know, his
crazy,
team
starting
members.
from nothing.
It's amazing what they've done.
Reese Wabara with MDV, another clothing brand, done amazing. That's in terms of clothing. In terms of food, I mean, even like some of our competitors, they do amazing in terms of their service, in terms of their profitability. So, I mean, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people.
Wow.
Too many to name. I think that you can take certain things from each person. I don't think there's not one person you can take everything from, but there's a lot of different people that you can take advice and tips from. And some of these, not even business people, just like people around you, friends and family, you know, people who have gone through things and come out the other side. I mean, you can learn a lot from them.
What is one challenge that you're dealing with right now?
Probably stress and like work-life balance. I think is once you get caught up in business, I think sometimes it's difficult to take a step back, because when you are in a mind frame or in a way to be for so long, sometimes it's difficult to pull yourself out. And I think it's important to have time to relax and to take a break. You don't want to fall into this trap of just constantly chasing money or chasing success or whatever you think success is, or you don't want to fall into a trap of chasing it. I think you need to know when to take a step back and relax.
One last business question. Cash flow. What's your relationship like with cash flow? Does it have to be very healthy, or can you risk and be quite neck to neck sometimes?
I think when I started, I put everything I had into the business and to growing the business, and I took a few risks which could have, gone wrong. But now I think cash flow, we're kind of, good, so we don't have to worry about that. But I think take risks, but not so much that it could be the end of your journey.
Amazing. And if someone wants to pitch to you, they can reach out to you.
Yeah.
Or are you closed for?
No, I mean, I'm always open to listen. I'm not saying we can do anything, but I think you should always listen.
Amazing. Mario, it's been a pleasure having you.
Likewise. Thanks for having me.
And that's it for today on Side by Side with myself, Kazi Shafiqur Rahman, and our guest, Mario Allepo, the founder of Fireaway Pizza. If you have found our discussion today insightful and educational, please do consider subscribing to our channel on the platform you are tuned into, share it with your friends and family, and comment below with any guest recommendations or questions. Engage with us on social media. And with that said, let's reconvene on our next episode. I will see you soon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.